Hi, it's Tim. Welcome to the corner. Welcome back if you've been here before, and welcome if you're new. I don't think I need to introduce what is on my bench today, but this is an Amiga CD32. In fact, it is my Amiga CD32. I've had it since they first came out back in 1990 something or other. It's sat in my attic for God knows how many years. It is time to get it out, clean it up, see if it still works, fix it up, and let's have a play with it. So come on. First thing to do is open the box and see what's inside. Right, we've got a bunch of CDs. We'll have a look at those in a bit. That's supposed to be really good. We've got a spare keypad topper thing for the keypad. Cable that looks like 5-pin to S-Video. Manual. Still in its original packing. That is the controller. Oh, okay, that's an alternate style, I think. That is exactly what happened to me the last time. This is the console in its bag. Before this falls over, I am going to take this out because this is the power brick and it weighs a ton, as is traditional. It's probably a brick of death. So that's the box, in pretty good shape considering how old it is. And this is the beast itself in its plastic bag. There we go. So we've got S-Video on the back. I guess that's TV modulator. Power. On off. Left and right, and composite video. So this is the traditional transformer brick of death. What do we have? 5 volts 2.2 amps, 12 volts 500 milliamps. Well, I guess we should measure that before we do anything else and see what we've actually got. Okay, so I've got the connector clamped into the vise here. The power supply is not switched on at the mains at the moment. I've sketched out what the pins are connected to, and I have some pieces of heat shrink that I am going to stick over the pins so we don't short anything out. That's the ground. Then this one should be 5 volts. So let's power it up. There's no smoke, no fire, no bang. Good job I checked. That is actually backwards. So that is 12 volts. And that is 5 volts. So that diagram is wrong, but we have got 5 volts and 12 volts. Just shows you need to be very careful with your pinouts. Every single time I look at a DIN type plug, I always get it wrong. Shall we give it a try? Let's switch it on and see what happens. The mains is active. Here we go, 3, 2, 1. Wow, look at that. Without knowing whether it's going to work, let us stick in the Alfred Chicken CD. We've got the book. Light works at least. Well, how about that? We're not going to get very far because I didn't plug in the controller. So I've plugged this in now. Let's just have a little look at the documentation. So we have consumer information, which is basically just warnings. Yep. Warnings in lots of languages. And the getting started guide. Right, so RF modulator cable, well, that has obviously long gone. Audio cable, that's long gone. There's a generic game controller. S-video, that's how we're connected. Audio, that's how we're connected. Ah, okay, so that... Where's it gone? This cable actually goes into the aux. Yep, it certainly does. So that, I imagine, is for an Amiga keyboard. Is that an Amiga keyboard connector? Jan Beta would know. Usual stuff, usual stuff. Let us try an audio CD. So this is, we're not going to be able to listen to this because copyright, yada yada yada. But you can see what this is. Nightwish. Showtime story time. And it is genuine. But we'll get long enough to see the user interface and know if it works. It doesn't seem to want to know. You can hear the head moving around and it spins up and then stops. This is a 2-disc set, so let's try the other disc. It's not getting anywhere with that. Okay, so it looks like it has a problem reading audio CDs. First thing to do with this, I think, is going to be to recap it. That might sort out this problem with the audio CDs, it might not, but this is of the generation that is known to have leaking capacitors, so we're going to do that anyway. Okay, I've tried a couple of different CDs and this one seems to work. So it comes up with a CD interface and we can control it with, let's move that better into picture. We can control it with the controller, so we can just sort of go up and I don't know, let's pick track 3. And that's as much as we're going to get, because otherwise we'll get a copyright strike. But you can see that this is definitely working, at least sometimes, with some CDs. So I think we're going to need to recap it, and maybe that's going to help. We shall see. Let's get on with it. Now, I've had this suggested by the guys at the Retro Repairers group, and you can check out their channels in the description below. They're well worth a look. So what we're going to do, just show you, this has got the original CD in it, and as you can see, it's not loading. So what we're going to do is turn it upside down. Try it again. Nothing. If you can hear that, it is actually making a lot more noise spinning the disc. Then when we turn it the right way up, it loads. And we can demonstrate that by selecting something. So let's go for our tradition of track 3.
This one's called She's My Sin.
That's enough to prove that it's loaded and it's going. So what I've been led to believe is that this indicates that basically the laser is on its way out. And so we need to put a new laser in there. I've got one on order and it should be here in a few days. Hopefully once we've got the recapping done, we can put that in and then see where it goes. So now it's time to recap this. First thing to do, of course, is take it apart. There are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 screws, manufactured November 1993. Twice. Okay, there it is. It's just a matter of pulling it in the right way. Now this is where we need to be careful. So that can come out. That can come out. That can go to one side. And now we need to lift all these tabs. Try not to get fingerprints on the metal surface because it will only need to be cleaned off afterwards. There are screws, right. You can see those looking in the top-down camera. And there we go, it just lifts off. So this is the main board. These two capacitors are notorious for being backwards. So when we replace those, we must remember to turn those around. Everything else... So I'm going to try a new technique today. I'm going to try the 2 soldering irons technique. Unfortunately, my 2 soldering irons are not particularly well matched. One of them is this ancient Antex. It's only 25 watts. Has no temperature control, so we will see how that goes. Spellbound Revision 3. Okay, so this is a Revision 3 board. I think the difference from what I've seen on other YouTube videos is most obvious in these capacitors here. In some revisions that is a line of 4. In this one it's 2 and a staggered one. Amiga CD game system, all the names, Commodore Electronics Limited, 1993. We know from the back this was assembled in November, and it is currently November 2023, so this is exactly 30 years old. Happy birthday to you, copyright, etc. Will it just lift out, or does it have some more screws? I don't see any screws, so it ought, with a bit of shuffling possibly. There we go. So that's come out, and I think we can probably just take this out from here. Okay, it took a little bit of finagling of these little spikes and the application of some blood, but we now have it out. So this can go to one side. I will go and bandage up my finger because, you know, stuff. Now, I don't specifically remember where I got the cap kit from, but it comes with this diagram, and the diagram did not have the polarities marked on it. So I've gone round and I have marked each individual polarity, with the exception of these two, which I have put the other way around and labelled correct. So when I come to put those in, I'll put them in according to this diagram. I don't know where I got the cap kit from. I think it came from eBay, and it was well over a year ago, so I don't remember the vendor, and I don't remember whether they are still selling. But these are the capacitors, they are listed, and let's try and take off some of these. So let's try this capacitor here. Well, that end came off. Maybe I need to do it this way around, which is going to be awkward. It does work, but it's very awkward to do. And I'm conscious of this iron being less powerful than this iron. So now it's a matter of cleaning up the pads. Oh, that one's come off. So to everyone who says 2 soldering irons is guaranteed to not lose solder pads, well, I'm afraid you're wrong. Okay, the board's cleaned up, and we'll just run over with some IPA, and then we'll be ready to put the new board. Then we'll be ready to put the new capacitors on. Now this pad I took off because it was too far gone, I think, really to be repairable. And this capacitor, in any case, actually has through-hole connections. So what we can do is we can stick in a through-hole capacitor of the same value into that one. That's not going to be a problem because that hole connects to that pin, and that hole connects to that pad. So that's fine. I've cleaned the board down with some IPA. There doesn't seem to have been any leakage from these capacitors, and looking at these capacitors, they are pretty dry underneath. They don't look like they've been leaking, and there was no smell on the board, so I think that we dodged a bullet with that. So let's start putting back capacitors. Now we've got that one, obviously. I'm not going to put that on first. So we've got several values. These are 22s, which is 22 microfarads, 35 volts. So I think I'm going to start with these little tiny ones. And let's identify where they go on the board. So 855, 865, which are these two, 855, 865. 306 I believe is not connected, and then 790 is one of the big ones. Now the way these pads work is that the flat end is negative and the rounded end is positive, and the flat end on these corresponds to the bar. And if we take this out, you'll see that there is a flat end where the bar is and a rounded end at the other side. So we can place this the right way around, and I hope you don't get in the way, or I hope my head doesn't get in the way, because I'm going to be trying to see what I'm doing rather than worrying about what the camera is doing. So get some solder on the tip. The other pliers might help. So that's one down. And I shall keep going, and you don't have to watch me, and we'll come back when it is done. Right, the capacitors are all on now, except for the 10 microfarad ones, which are on order, and this one, which we are going to replace with a through hole. So positive goes to that one, which is that. That's negative. So let's put him on. There we go, that's straight enough. Now these two are marked wrong on the board, so instead of being positive that way, it needs to be positive that way. And the same with this. Positive points to the power plug, or the power connector. Negative goes to the positive thing there. So we'll come back to this in a couple of days when the remaining parts have arrived. Now we've got 4 10 microfarad 50 volt capacitors, and I want to thank Steve from 8-Bit Retro Refix for these capacitors, because I tried to order them from RS and they said, yeah, we've got hundreds of these. So I placed the order, paid the £7 shipping, and added a few other things to make it not seem quite so bad. And then after they'd shipped everything else, they told me, oh yeah, these are obsolete. We're not sending them order cancelled. So I paid £7 postage for nothing. Well, I got the other things, but they were not really what I wanted. So thank you, Steve, for coming to my rescue. Now these go on the board here, here, here. And where's the other one? Where's the other one? Let's look at the map. So 1, 2, 3, 4. So that is all the capacitors. Should we give it a quick test? I don't know if it will run without the CD drive plugged in, but we can give it a try. It's plugged in. So it's plugged in. Video, sound, power. Power goes to the mains is switched on. Let us give it a try. 3, 2, 1. Looking good. I've put the board back into its case. Now I've not put the top shield on at the moment. One thing, this capacitor, and it did worry me a little bit that it was quite tall, is actually too tall, and it is going to impact the case. So if we put this on, because this is so low to take into account the CD mechanism, that actually touches. So I'm going to have to adjust that. I'll do that off camera. I'm not going to do it just now. So the last thing that I want to do today, we have a new laser coming, and that will be the subject of another video. But the last thing that I want to do today is hook this laser back up and see if recapping the main board has actually made a difference to playing a CD. So let's just plug this in. And this is going to be a little tricky. There we go. This goes into here. This, I think, is an earth, which normally clips onto the shield, so it will clip onto. There we go, it'll clip onto that. Okay, it's loosely together. Let's plug it back in and try a CD. Okay, here it is. Let's power it on. Now, I don't remember which CD I tried that didn't work, so I'm going to go through them all. We're not going to hear it, obviously, because otherwise it's copyright strikes. So, spins up. No, it's not picking it up. Ah, now it's found that one. Let's just hit play. Yep, that is working. So we're pretty much in the same state that we were before, in that some CDs will work and others won't. Next time we're going to be replacing the laser and hopefully calibrating it and adjusting it and getting it all working perfectly. So thank you for watching. Please like and subscribe and do all the usual stuff. If you'd like to help out the channel, then please support me on Patreon. The link is in the description. Patreon will give you early access to the videos and also some occasional exclusives and behind the scenes stuff and so on. Thank you to my existing patrons. Their names are scrolling up very, very briefly because they're a select bunch. And I'll see you next time. Thank you for watching. See ya. Bye.